If everybody could take a seat, we'll get going in a second. Hi, everybody. Everybody good? Everybody got quiet fast. Oh my gosh. So thanks everybody for joining us for the welcome ceremony. For the welcome ceremony for the Hubert Humphrey Fellows. We're so excited to have them here. We're so excited to have all of you here to sort of honor them. As I begin, I want to take you back to 1978. It was St. Paul, Minnesota, and it was really cold. Not just Phoenix cold, but really cold. It was a wind chill of -40 degrees. And thousands of people stayed in line to walk to the rotunda of the state capitol to see the person lying in state there. And that was Hubert H. Humphrey. So this program is named after Humphrey, and I thought I'd take a minute to tell everybody a little about him for those of you who may not know a lot. Walter Mondale, in his eulogy, Mondale was then the vice president, described him as America's conscience, which is, I think, one of the highest tributes you can have. He grew up in South Dakota, in a room above his father's drugstore. He went on to become the mayor of Minneapolis, the senator of Minnesota, and eventually the vice president. He began his sort of rise to national prominence in 1948. World War II had ended. A lot of the servicemen, many of whom were African-American, had returned home, and they returned home to a country that was very divided and segregated, particularly in the South. And there was a lot of discussion about the need for the end of segregation and civil rights. But it was a lively debate, as we might say. Humphrey at that convention said, "The time has come in America for the Democratic Party to come out of the shadow of states' rights and walk forthrightly into the bright shadow of human rights." That speech led to the Democratic Party adopting a platform that included a call for civil rights. And I love the phrase, the bright sunshine of human rights. I think that sort of so epitomizes the Humphrey program that we'll be talking about today. So after Humphrey's death, Jimmy Carter was then the president, and he wanted to honor Humphrey in some way. Humphrey had been very involved in the creation of the Peace Corps, where American citizens would go to other countries, learn, and then come back and become great leaders. And so he started thinking about a reverse Peace Corps, where people from other countries would come here and then go back and become leaders in their own country. And so out of that became what began to be this fellowship. He announced it in Venezuela in March of 78. And just a side note, my husband was then a White House correspondent and was there for that announcement. So that's sort of cool. And the program has sort of gone on for 45 years since then. It's about democracy, social justice, and commitment to assisting the world's developing nations. When I think about the Humphrey Fellowship, and this is my second year involved, that message seems so big, but so important and so plausible. Seeing, the last fellows and what they did and what they've gone back to do and meeting some of the alumni, the possibilities are endless. And so as you begin this journey, I hope you remember, the sort of history this comes from and sort of the great goals that were set in place. So enough from me. Let me get going on the agenda for tonight. First, I want to thank the folks who made this possible. Adrian Spencer, where are you, Adrian? Thank you. Kate Devine, Tag Lee, Tufan Nopani, and Raj Madan. Thank you all very much for making this happen. So here's the agenda, and then I'm going to turn it over. Dean Batts will do the official welcome. We're excited. Thank you for taking time to be here. I know you have a lot of other things you could do that would probably be better. I will say he's spending time with the fellows, taking them bowling this year. So it's this and bowling. That's what we get from you, right? Our keynote speaker this year is Mariatu Kaba, who was a fellow last year and is currently a student at the Thunderbird School. And she's from Sierra Leone. I also want to congratulate Mariatu while I can. She just announced that she just won an award from the Excellence and Impact Foundation here in Phoenix for the work she's done with girls in her country. So Mariatu, where are you? Oh, there you are. Congratulations. We'll then have a panel of folks talking about the program and the different elements. And then the highlight, the fellows. They will tell us about what they plan to do while they're here, and we're excited to sort of hear what they are. And I invite you back, by the way, for closing ceremonies when you'll get to hear what they actually did, which will be amazing. And then we'll close it out. So with that, before I lose my voice, I'm going to hand it over to Dean Batts, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. So 15 years, wow. It's 15 years and more than 140 fellows and over 150 organizations collaborating with these fellows and more than 420 Humphrey seminars and upwards of 1,500 hours of volunteer work. These numbers are quite impressive, but they only tell part of the story. For 15 years, the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication has been honored to be the host of the Hubert H. Humphrey Fellowship Program. The numbers are impressive, but the real story is about the people. Remarkable individuals like Mariatu Kaba, who will speak to you shortly, and many others whose impact has been profound and far-reaching. During this time, we've gained invaluable insights from accomplished professionals who have passed through our doors. We've seen how they've taken on some of the world's most pressing challenges, combating disinformation, modernizing educational curricula, launching fact-checking organizations, and championing women's empowerment. These fellows have become leaders in their organizations, their communities, and their countries. Their time here has enriched us in ways that we could have never imagined. As you, the 15th cohort, embark on your journey here, I encourage you to seize every opportunity. At Cronkite and across Arizona State University, you'll find a wealth of resources and experiences just waiting to be explored. You are fortunate to be a part of ASU, which is consistently recognized as the most innovative university in the United States. This recognition and many more are deeply rooted in our charter. And I want to share it with you because it is so powerful. ASU is a comprehensive public research university measured not by whom it excludes, but by whom it includes and how they succeed. We are dedicated to advancing research and discovery of public value and assuming fundamental responsibility for the economic, social, cultural, and overall health of the communities we serve. This ambitious vision is evident in so many aspects of ASU. So I encourage you to dig in, explore. For example, Mbabe, I know you are studying at the Sandra Day O'Connor College of Law, and in Nkosi, you're at the Thunderbird School of Global Management. I encourage you to take full advantage of what these programs have to offer. This year, we're incredibly excited about our new partnership with the School of Transborder Studies. I wish I could join you on your upcoming trip to the US-Mexico border next week. And I've heard wonderful things about your session with the Malikian Center, where you gained writing insights from a Pulitzer Prize winning fiction writer. You are off to a fantastic start. Of course, a highlight of ASU is Cronkite. I don't want to boast, but I will. Cronkite is the best journalism mass communication school in the United States. And I like to say, and it's not even close. And that's not just me saying that. For the third consecutive year, we have secured the top spot in Broadcast Education Association's rankings based on the creative achievements of our students. I want to really note that. That's a credit to our students and a credit to our faculty, who you get the opportunity to interact with. You'll have the privilege of working with some of the incredible mentors and professors this year. They've already expressed how much they love collaborating with Humphrey Fellows and how much they learn from you. As the dean, I've made a commitment to expanding our international presence. Journalism and media are increasingly transcending national boundaries. Our challenges, such as disinformation, trust deficits, attention overload, are universal. By pooling our experiences and learning together, we can accelerate our progress. Our opportunities, too, are not confined by borders. We have the power to enlighten and unite people through positive dialogue. Before I turn this over, I want to thank the many people who make this program possible. Thank you to our donor, Adelaida Severson, who is with us tonight. Let's recognize her. And also the Humphrey staff, the mentors, the global friends, the professors, and so many more. It indeed takes a village. I'm excited about the year ahead. Together, we'll achieve great things. Thank you.
Arizona is home to 22 indigenous tribes.
Arizona State University's campuses are situated on the homelands of many tribal nations.
In particular, the A'atam.
And Peepash, and acknowledge the many indigenous communities who reside in this territory.
Skigik is the O'odham word that is now known as Phoenix, which was settled in 1881 by occupiers.
The ancestors of the A'atam, the Huhugam, created canals and utilized surrounding rivers that are the basis of the current irrigation system that feeds Skigik today.
These waterways have always been the foundation and livelihood of the residents within the valley. Throughout the past 500 years, the impact of colonialism have been detrimental to indigenous lands and languages, affecting their livelihood.
Many people who live in the Southwest are unaware of this history. Furthermore, ASU's indigenous student community consists of over 3,000 strong,
not including faculty, staff, and alumni who continue to thrive, educate, and advocate for the strengthening of indigenous ways of life.
As the O'odham call it, Himdak, the way of life for the O'odham, encompassing their culture, traditions, identity, and being. As O'odham and indigenous peoples,
our identity is tied to the land. Like our own bodies, we must respect and care for it, and we urge everyone to do the same.
We challenge you to educate yourself about the history and the communities who continue to thrive today.
Moving forward, it is vital to honor and respect
that you are always
on indigenous land.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Are you happy to welcome the new set of the fellowship? Great. I want to start by asking you to imagine the ripple effect of one decision. Picture yourself walking through a room like this today, surrounded by people who could help shape your journey, people who could help change not just your life, but the lives of thousands of others. I came to ASU as a Humphrey Fellow with little or no knowledge of how deeply this experience will impact my life. How it will ignite a future that I could have only dreamt of. I came to the fellowship with three main goals, one of which was to scale up my nonprofit, an organization I run back home to empower women and girls. I wanted to reach out to more women and girls, make more impact, but I did not know how. I lacked the roadmap. I only had the strong belief and passion to keep making a difference. But I give it to faith and all what the fellowship had in store for me. Fast forward to today, I don't want to take you through throughout all the journey. I am preparing to sign a letter of intent, or otherwise a partnership letter with the Thunderbird School of Global Management to launch an educational digital platform, well, a program in Sierra Leone and in other African countries. Thank you. We are talking about an initiative that has the potential to impact about over 3,000 young people, and 80% of those will be women and girls. How did I move from a small nonprofit to such a massive initiative? Well, it wasn't magic. It took a lot of hard work, good relationships, faith, the opportunities and resources that this fellowship provided for me. And it's important to know that I did not do it alone. There were many people in the room, from curators, fellowship coordinators. I could call names, but I have time. I'm limited by time. But mentors, global friends, professors, Jeff, and many other people along the journey did play a part in this. And they were in the room, just as you also have the opportunity of having different people in the room. And this is what the fellowship provides. I remember there was a woman I met in DC that during my professional affiliation, who was not just my PA host, but she became a huge figure, key figure in my development. And today she's helping to market the work and the impacts of the nonprofit, as well as trying to establish new partnerships here in the US. This is what the Robert Humphrey Fellowship can provide for you. It's open doors, but you have to walk through them. Which takes me to this. Being a Humphrey Fellow, you have to be curious, you have to be open-minded and try to explore many things. Don't expect everything or everyone to look or sound like you before you could feel comfortable to associate. If you do, you're gonna lose a big part of the experience. You did not leave home only to stay within your comfort zone, did you? All right? So you have to put yourself out there. Of course, I'm not trying to sugarcoat this to make it looks like it's all easy. No, there'll be time where you might tend to question your ability. With all the pressure the fellowship will bring, the high demand, it feels really overwhelming. You may begin to miss home. Well, I imagine those moments are already creeping in. You'll miss home, you'll miss family for some of you who are not here with your immediate family. And even those who have their family here, I mean, you may need to balance really well between the fellowship demands and spending time with your family. It's a hustle. You'll miss your favorite food. But it's all part of the process. It's okay. And culture shock happens in phases. It's a real challenge. But I have come to learn that sometimes success means trade-off, meaning to succeed in one thing, you have to, it has to be at the expense of another thing. You have to forgo another thing to be successful. So bear that in mind. And besides, the IIE, ASU, US State Departments, and all parties involved in this fellowship are really deliberate in choosing who they can spend the US tax money on. The Humphrey Fellowship is not for everyone. It's not just for any mid-career professional out there, but a selected few, for a selected few, one who have been proven to be strong, to stand the test of time, one who had the potential to thrive in a new environment. And guess what? You are part of that selected few. You should be proud of yourself. And so for any time you feel like giving up, just think about this. You're part of that selected few. To add a few more points to how you can get the best of this from my own experience, one is to be able to set your goals early. I mean, be clear about what you want, but also remain flexible as opportunities arise. Do something about your goals every day. Success or progress does not build overnight. It's a process, one step at a time. Leverage the resources at ASU. I mean, the dean has really emphasized that. Grab all of it. ASU provide, it's like a gold mine of resources. Make the best of it. Ask for help when you need one. Remember, the room is full of people whose mission, just one mission, is to help you succeed. So utilize that. Build relationships. Be intentional about it. I'm here because of the relationships I built and the opportunities I was able to tap from. It's good to network, but networking sometimes means being transactional. Be intentional to build meaningful relationships. Be interesting, but also, most importantly, be interested in other people. And don't forget to tap from each other. If I'm not mistaken, you're 11 or 12, and each of you are coming from different countries. What that means is you have the potential to tap from these different countries by knowing one another, the cultures and everything. That's what true wealth means. As I stand here today, like I said, it's because of the relationships I built and the opportunities I seize. And I want to use this opportunity to officially thank Julia, Adrian, everyone, my global friends, for being a part of this journey. I am here again because of you. And to you new fellas, grab this whole opportunity, this all new journey with open-mindedness, be curious to learn, be involved, and accept it's a new change and things are gonna go well. So thank you and welcome to a start of something extraordinary.
Okay, I'm going to have the panelists come up and grab your seats here. We're going to have a panel discussion that really talks about the different components of the program. This program is only possible because of all the different elements. Come on and have a seat. Come on, guys. And so I'm going to have each of them talk about how they contribute to the program. And let's see who sits down first. They get to go first. Let's see. Jeff, you did it. Professor Jeff Timmerman, you get to go
What do I do
first.
now?
You sat down first.
Oh,
Fine. So one of the key elements of the program is the professors. The fellows take the Humphrey Seminar and an elective. Jeff has taught the Humphrey Seminar for several years now. And I thought it'd be great if you could tell us a little bit about how the professors make a difference and how you've been impacted by the fellowship.
well, I think that the Humphrey Fellowship is one of the crown jewels at Cronkite. It is incredible that we can bring these extraordinary people here to our university. It really brings the world to Cronkite. And I've been super excited to see over the last 2 years, the fellows interact with our students who tend to be a bit younger, less worldly than this extraordinary group. And the chemistry, the magic that happens is just phenomenal. And I have been privileged to teach these guys for the last 2 years. And I think, well, I hope they've learned something from me. But I tell you, I have learned something every day from all of them. And that's, I think, true of the rest of our students. So thank you guys. Keep doing what you do.
Great, thanks. Alex?
I'm Alex, and I'll talk a little bit about Global Friends. So I think this is an opportunity for the community to come together with the students. Global Friends, we usually, this is my second year doing it, and last year, I had Liaz. It was a wonderful experience. This is an opportunity to interact with the students, show them, welcome them in the community, show them the life here in the US. I think a lot of time when people are coming in internationally, coming from international country as well, grew up in Rwanda, it's an opportunity to show the international students how do we live here in the US, but also be there to integrate them, show them the food we enjoy, show them the store where to shop. I have taken a few of them to African stores, so you cannot miss that food, but also be open to invite them Thanksgiving holidays, because especially you gotta remember, these are holidays where they're not going home. They're most of the time, they don't have family here. So it's an opportunity to bring them in your home, counsel them, have open communication, and invite them to cook and taste the food from their country. I think it's an amazing opportunity for the community to be engaged with the students.
Thank you. Lauren?
Yeah, hi, I'm Lauren Mucciolo. I'm from the Howard Center for Investigative Journalism here at the Cronkite School. And I'm going to talk about the professional affiliations that are a component of the Humphrey program. So essentially, the Humphrey Fellows during the second semester of the program spend 1 month during the month of May in some kind of organization that does work that aligns with the areas that they're looking to grow and explore during their time in this fellowship. So the Howard Center last year had the pleasure of hosting 2 fellows. And I had the opportunity to work very closely with one of those fellows, Belen Tavares, from Peru. And at the Howard Center, we were exploring a collaboration with another newsroom related to PBS. And so it turns out that Belen also had an interest in the documentary space and had a lot of a strong background in journalism. So this became an opportunity for the Howard Center to kind of flex muscles in a different space. We could work with one of the Humphrey Fellows in an extended time period to really work deeply on a documentary film that may have the potential for, or has will be scheduled for broadcast later next year. And so Belen had the opportunity to travel into the field. And so with this film, it's looking at climate change, and we actually sent Belen 30 miles north of the Arctic Circle in Alaska to a remote village on the Kukchi Sea. And forgive me if I've mispronounced that. But anyway, Belen got some really exciting experience in the field and made a contribution to what will be an important collaboration for the Howard Center here at Cronkite with PBS. And so these professional affiliations are a really great opportunity for the fellows to continue to kind of grow their professional ambitions and their hopes with what they're hoping to achieve with the fellowship.
Great, thanks. Thank you. I mean, I have to say, I wanted to go to Alaska. Looking at the photos of them like north of the Arctic Circle, it looked really great. And it will be on Frontline?
It will be on Frontline.
Frontline next year.
Yes.
Okay, my turn. Hi, everyone. I'm Hazel Kwan. I'm a professor of digital audience here at Cronkite. And last year was my first time to serve as a mentor, and this is my second time. And Julia said we are going to have over just one minute. So I made a note, but I think I remembered, so I'm just going to go fast. So 3 things that I want to highlight what you're going to expect from this mentoring relationship, in my opinion. Every mentor may be different. Number 1, mentors secretly admire you. So it's a winning game for mentor as well. The reason that we volunteer that we're going to be the mentors because we know we are going to gain something from you. So don't necessarily consider your faculty mentor as a professor or coach or guru in your field, in your career. In fact, many times you are likely to be assigned with a mentor who is a very different field. But just think about this mentoring session as a casual, free flow of conversation, sharing of what you do, and hear from us what we do. One example, Sokha, who was my mentee last year, he's a narrative journalist. I'm not a journalist. I'm a digital audience researcher. And I'm studying these days about misinformation, disinformation that affect Asian American communities and also other ethnic communities. So I shared what I do as a researcher, and he also shared what he does as a narrative journalist, right? In the end of that program, he did an internship at Arizona Republic, and eventually he wrote a news piece about Asian American communities and anti-hate aspects and also misinformation. So I humbly believe that our conversation inspired him to find that news story. And also I was fortunate to connect him to the sources, right? So that's one example of how you can leverage mentors. But at the same time, if Global Friends is going to help you how to integrate and how to live American life in a better way, our faculty mentor is here to support you how to navigate the AAC system most efficiently, how you navigate Cronkite system most efficiently, and also how, whenever you are feeling a little bit, iffy and, you feel like cultural challenges, we are going to be your listeners. We are going to be your ears. So just keep in mind.
Great, great. Thank you. So I think you can see, the beauty of this program is there's so many components, but it's about the people, right? I love the passion that all of you expressed, and the way you have contributed to the fellows is so much appreciated. So let's give them a round of applause and thank you very much. All right, now thank you so much, panelists. We are on to the stars of the show. Are you guys ready? We're going to hear what you guys are planning to do while you're here. Okay, I think, Kate, we're set.
Ser feliz, andar tranquilamente na favela onde eu nasci, e poder me orgulhar e ter a consciência que o pobre tem.
Hello, everyone. This is a Brazilian funk. My name is Wagner de Alencar. I'm from Brazil, and it's a great honor to be here representing not only my country, but Latin America as part of this program. I grew up in one of the largest favelas in São Paulo, known as Paraisópolis. In Brazil, we use the term favela to refer to marginalized communities. but these marginalized communities are often associated with negative aspects like violence, extreme poverty, everything, and by the mainstream media. However, 14 years ago in 2010, some friends and I, all of them from favelas, started telling the stories we couldn't hear from the mainstream media. So I helped to create Agência Mural, which is an organization dedicated to telling the stories, the real stories about the favelas, the underserved communities in the metropolitan area of São Paulo. I was a local correspondent, then I became a reporter, an editor, and currently I'm a director of journalism. My mission here at the Humphrey Fellowship is to take this work to the next level by increasing our audience engagement. Here, I want to find innovative strategies to deepen our connection with our readers, listeners, viewers. The word engagement means a lot to me. The first time I heard about this fellowship was 11 years ago. I was a student. So from that moment on, I committed myself to a dream one day being part of this opportunity. Today I'm here. So this dream has come true. My journey has always been about engagement, not just to my family or my team or my friends, but especially about the communities we serve in Brazil, amplifying their voices even more through the journalism we do. Now it's time to take this engagement even further. I'm looking forward to exploring new ways to connect with our audience. There's so much to be done, and I'm ready for it. Thank you.
The raindrops keep falling on my head, but that doesn't mean my eyes will soon be turning red. Crying's not for me, 'cause I'm never gonna stop the rain by complaining.
Well, this was the #1 song in the week I was born 54 years ago on the Billboard chart. So it's a kind of my theme song, and good to see you all here. Hello and good evening. My name is Ludmil Karavasilev and I come from Bulgaria. My background is in corporate communications and PR. And did you know that Bulgaria and Arizona are in the same time zone? Well, not exactly, but we are in the zone of global climate change, whose adverse effects we all feel no matter where we live. And by the way, do you know what time it is now? Okay, the climate clock at New York's Union Square will hit midnight in 7 years. In less than 7 years, the global carbon emissions will exceed the 1.5 degrees Celsius level, after which irreversible climate effects could happen. And this is approved by the UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. And this is the data we can rely on. Okay, I have come to Arizona to study, to learn from US professionals. And come up with a toolbox with effective communication strategies to help Bulgarian society better tackle the challenges of global climate change. And I would like to thank Humphrey program and Arizona State University for this incredible opportunity. Bulgaria and Arizona may be far apart, but we face the same environmental difficulties. Heat, drought, biodiversity loss, and other difficult issues. But we can share knowledge, develop effective decisions, solutions, and stop this climate clock from reaching midnight. Thank you for your attention, and let's do it together.
Hi, everybody. So my two fellows, one spoke about community, another spoke about environment, and I'm talking about something that gave us all those, the brain. My name is Oumar Zombre, and I'm from Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso is a country located in West Africa, and the country is experiencing a conflict with multiple terrorist attacks who attacks people indiscriminately. Over 3 million people have been forced to leave their homes. Thousands and thousands of people have been killed. Now, close your eyes and picture those journalists walking from the front lines, facing these challenges with potential trauma, stress they may encounter. Imagine those young men and women freshly graduated from journalist school, junior reporter or mid-career reporters not prepared to face this humanitarian crisis. Living such experience, seeing trauma can affect people, sometimes deeply. And yes, just open your eye and see how those journalists in front of victims collecting testimonies from women being assaulted by the terrorist, kids being forced to see their parents being killed in front of their eyes, their lives, their future stolen. And yet, this leaves a deep wound to anybody who is not prepared to face this kind of situation. That is the reason why many journalists back home, because of the lack of the facilities of mental health support, not only external, because we don't have an external facilities, also within the newsroom, news reporters are sent in the battlefield to collect information, but when they are back, nobody will assess their mental issue. Nobody, because we don't care. They don't care, but I care about that. People, and yet people. Many journalists are suffering. Some are left to cope with the aftermath of what they have been exposed in the front lines. Trauma, nightmares, depression. I've seen some journalists committing suicide. Some lost ground because of severe depression. I myself have been an embedded journalist, have been embedded many times in the front line. I've seen horrors. Soldiers stepping in the landmine, blown. They've been collected into pieces and put in sachets. But when I came back in my newsroom, it's like nothing has happened. That is the reason why I question myself about what is the mental health support that we can provide to people like me, and people who are not prepared, or people who are suffering. So I've decided to start a mental health center, a well-being center for journalists in Burkina Faso, not only in Burkina Faso, but also in West Africa, because the conflict is spreading a lot. Now it is in Niger, in Mali, that the conflict has started in Mali, went to Burkina Faso, now in Niger, and now trying to reach the Gulf of Guinea. There is a need, but yet we don't have that center. Have made some researches. I've seen that center America, that center Europe, that center Asia, but I haven't seen so far that center in Africa. This well-being center could be a that center in Africa. And as I said, I have over 14 years of experience reporting in the front line and doing investigative journalism. But now I am walking away from this passion for some reason that I'm not going to share today because it's not the platform for that. I'm transitioning into strategic communication and leadership because I believe that by capacitating journalists, by empowering journalists, we do serve democracy, we serve freedom of press and freedom of expressions. Helping journalists is protecting democracy. So, those who would like to protect democracy, help journalists, can join me in my journey. And I know it's a long road to go. It's a very, very long way, but I'm ready for that. And that is why I'm here, because I want to use this Humphrey opportunity to leverage my skills, my knowledge in strategic communication, leadership, and how to serve better my community back in my country and in West Africa. The journey is long, but 1,000 miles journey starts with a single steps. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Moses Habyarimana. I know the second name could be a little bit difficult to pronounce, but you can call me Moses. I'm a journalist based in Burundi. Burundi is a country in East Africa with about 13 million people. I want to take you through a little bit of a background about the history of Burundi, whereby it has faced with civil wars based on ethnic divisions since 1970s, 80s, 90s, and probably 2000, and the recent one was just recent. And I want to give you an example of what happened just in 2015 when Burundi conducted elections, whereby more than 1,000 people were killed. These are innocent children, mothers, fathers. All these, example of the 2015 is it was due to disinformation and misinformation. Media took the central role. Many journalists fled the country. Some remained, and I remained, and I was part of the journalists who covered the political crisis in 2015. And it shows you how significant to access to real, actual information it is to the community in understanding, and also helps people to take right decisions, and also the authorities to take the right decisions if there is real information which is actually can be accessed. Now, from 2015 to up till now, as many journalists fled the country. Burundi is a country that just recently, 2 years ago, it started a school of journalism. There was no school of journalism in Burundi. Now imagine the young journalists who are coming up. How do they try to access, verify, write stories for the interest of the people? And with the rising disinformation and misinformation between the parties, the authorities, which is making divisions in Burundi. Let alone the use of artificial intelligence, which is on the rise currently. It is on the rise. It is even making it more difficult. That's why we come to my vision and the mission, which I want that every Burundian has to access to the real information, a verified one with the facts. But how am I going to do that? I'm planning to have a platform back home, and a network of journalists whom I will share my experience with my expertise, with the knowledge which I'll be getting from this Humphrey Fellowship, to know how to verify disinformation and misinformation, the use of AI. How can we make sure that the information we're providing is accurate if we don't have the basics back home? So Burundi next year will be conducting a parliamentary elections. This is the period actually, in most cases, if you look at the history of Burundi, this is where actually Burundi is always having political crisis during the electoral period. So next year in around June, we'll be having parliamentary elections, but I'm sure, and what I'm looking forward to is building my network, the platform for Burundian upcoming journalists, the young journalists, so that the citizens of Burundi can get real information, verified, and actual information. Thank you for your attention.
Something about the way she moves. I can't figure it out. Something about her.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Maud Kwadio, and I am a communication specialist devoted to girls and women education. I come from Côte d'Ivoire, a country located in West Africa. In 2022, the illiteracy rate in Côte d'Ivoire was 47%, with 2/3 of that figure being women. I am determined to change this narrative. I have witnessed many women in my country who are unable to make their own decision due to a lack of education. Such girl is Sally, and here is her story. Why do you want to go to school? You are a girl, and I'm not going to waste my money on something of no value. You will get married, and that will be the end of it. These shocking words are not mine, but those of a father addressed to his 11-year-old daughter, Sally. This brutal refusal ended her dream of continuing her education simply because she is a girl. In Côte d'Ivoire, thousands of girls have been denied the fundamental right to education. It is a reality that many of us never faced. I envision a world where every girl has access to quality education, regardless of her economic and social background. Education is not only a privilege, it is a right, a duty even. Together, we can build this vision by empowering women through education. And I believe the Humphrey Fellowship is the right place to start. Think of how, thank you. Think of how you, I, and all of us together can bring this vision to life. I'm here to develop the skills and strategies to to tackle these challenges. Sally, every girl and woman will have the ability to carve their own path if we help pave the way. Let us stand for inclusion and equality for women in Côte d'Ivoire. Thank you for your attention and for this opportunity.
Te vagy a szívembe írva, Magyarország. Te vagy a lelkemre bízva, Magyarország.
Well, it's not easy to follow such a wonderful speaker, but I try to do my best, although my legs are shaking a bit. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. When I first got to know that we all could give a speech here tonight, my first reaction was doubt. Oh, surely my fellows' stories are most interesting, their visions are most impressive, or their missions are most important. But then I realized I'm probably not the only one with these doubts. Probably there are millions of women all around the world that ask themselves the same questions. Am I important enough? Am I good enough? Do I have the right to do this or that? So I think there is a thing to talk about here, because that has something to do with gender equality. When it comes to gender equality, we have a lot to do, both globally and in Hungary too. In Hungary, out of the 27 European Union members, we rank the 26th when it comes to gender equality. And I think it's not just the system holding back women, but also I know a lot of wonderful women who don't recognize their own value. They don't stand up for themselves. They don't say no, they don't set boundaries because they never did. They don't know how. Can we change that? I believe we can. And I believe by helping women build a stronger self-esteem can help decreasing discrimination. Part of the Humphrey Fellowship, I would like to improve in this field. I would like to learn how we can make a progress in this area, especially in Hungary. It's an honor to be part of this wonderful fellowship and to work on a project that I'm really passionate about as a human being, as a journalist, and also as a mother of a girl. Let me tell you a story about my daughter, because she is my main motivation, and I also got permission from her to do this. So I came here to the US together with my husband and our 9-year-old daughter, and we enrolled her in a public elementary school. So imagine a new country and a new language that she doesn't speak, a huge, enormous, unfamiliar building and 30 new kids she doesn't know. So the first day came and we walked her to the gate that we couldn't enter, and she walked in, never looking back. So through my tears, I was just watching her tiny little figure crossing the enormous courtyard until she was just a dot in the distance. And I thought she was the bravest person I knew. And I'm sure that day will stay with me forever. And I think that they will stay with her forever too. She doesn't realize it yet, but I think she will draw strength from that experience for her entire life. And I wish her to know that that strength is within her always. I wish her to know that she can reach her dreams. I wish her to know that her value is unquestionable. And I also wish the same thing to all girls and women all around the world and in Hungary too. And that is what I work for, because I believe in a society where empowered women lead us all to a healthier and happier life. Thank you.
Good words makes everyone feel better. This is the song. Good evening. I'm Nurit Canetti. I'm a journalist, a current affairs and news host in a radio station, public station in Israel. 2 months ago, as the chairperson of the Journalist Association in Israel, I supported and participated in a crucial struggle for journalistic freedom in my country. The journalists of Channel 13 News were engaged in a brave public fight against a pure political appointment as their new managing editor-in-chief. This struggle was a success, but the attempts to intrude, to control, to influence and harm, often for political reasons, will likely continue. Israel is a vibrant democracy, claims our prime minister, and for a long time it has been. However, in the past decade, and more strongly in the past 2 years, there is a continuous erosion of democracy led by a government that was elected democratically. One of these expressions is ongoing interference in media outlets and in free press. This interference takes many forms. It has financial pressure on independent media outlets. It has financial incentives for media outlets that promote the government's agenda, refusal to grant interviews, oral and physical attacks against journalists, and attempts to appoint government supporters in key roles. This process damages the professionalism of all journalists and all media outlets, even those who maintain their integrity. So my mission in the Humphrey Fellowship is to develop ways to encourage and train my colleagues, the Israeli journalists, to stand strongly and bravely against every attempt to undermine them, even when facing personal risks or professional risks. I have stood against this kind of risks, and I decided to hold on journalism, believing that people that fight for clean democracy need their voice to be heard in the media. And as long as I can hold my journalistic and myself's values, I will stay a journalist. So this might sound as a personal or a domestic issue, but actually it's a global struggle because populist regimes that are trying to push for illiberal democracies are not only Israel's problem, it's a worldwide problem, and it's a worldwide struggle, and we, the journalists, are on the front lines. Thank you so much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bojana Dabovic, and I am a journalist from a small country called Montenegro, which is situated in southern East Europe. It is both an honor and a privilege to stand before you today as one of the Humphrey Fellows. I am deeply grateful to Arizona State University and Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication for this opportunity, and I am so excited to embark on this journey with all of you. But today I want to share with you a crucial issue that is very close to my heart, a challenge faced by journalists in my home country of Montenegro. While we celebrate the press freedom as a cornerstone of democracy, the reality of many journalists in Montenegro paints a troubling picture. Imagine a mother who is watching an evening news only to discover that her child, a journalist, is one of the 5 women journalists who are facing threats, even the terrifying threats of rape, simply for doing their job. The shock and fear that grip her heart is unimaginable as she realizes the danger her daughter, her child, is facing every day. And yes, that child is me. And yes, Montenegro is a nation known for its breathtaking landscapes, a vibrant culture, but it is also a place where many journalists often work under the shadow of threats and intimidation. According to the latest reports from organizations like Reporters Without Borders, journalists in Montenegro are subjected to harassment, physical threats, and even violent attacks. And despite the crucial role that journalists play in upholding democracy and informing the public, institutions in Montenegro are failing to take meaningful action to protect them. And let me be fair here, journalists in Montenegro are not the only one who are facing this reality. This reality is also the reality of many NGOs, many intellectuals, many civil activists. And why I'm here, I want to change this. I don't want to be that child from the beginning of my speech. My personal experience with these challenges drives me to advocate for press freedom in Montenegro and work towards creating a safe and supportive environment for all journalists in my country. My goal is to contribute to a movement where journalists can report the truth without fear, where their voices will not be silenced by threats and violence, and where they can operate freely to inform and empower the public. And I'm convinced that this fellowship and the time that I will be spending here will help me to gain all the necessary skills to do so. But this mission is not mine alone. It is a call to action for all of us. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can forge a world where press freedom is not just an ideal, but a reality for everyone. Thank you once again for welcoming me into this amazing community.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jean-Paul Ibambe, and I am from Rwanda. Rwanda is a small country located in the East Africa. I am not a journalist, but a lawyer, media lawyer actually. And of course, I'm a friend of journalists, especially when they are detained or imprisoned or in court. So part of my work, I do legal representation to journalists. I also advocate for decriminalization of defamation. And as I speak now, I have an ongoing petition before our Supreme Court in Rwanda, where I am seeking for decriminalization of one article that criminalizes publication of rumors. It's defamation, if I can say. Between 2018 and 2022, I was a defense lawyer of 3 online journalists. They were publishing their work using YouTube. And they were facing 22 years of imprisonment for having published rumors. Their story was about terrorist attack that were alleged to be led by Paul Rusesabagina. This guy is a Hotel Rwanda movie character, if I can say. But after 4 years in pretrial detention, the journalists were acquitted. They received no compensation, and probably it is because of the way they break their news or how they publish their stories, that was at some point not responsible, but it wasn't worth 4 years pre-trial detention. And looking at that case, from that experience and so many other cases I was involved in, I found that we need to do something as a country to promote responsible freedom of expression, whereby the government is called to amend or to reform some of our provisions that are dealing with freedom of expression, but also where Rwandans, the citizen, need to consume, but also to produce information responsibly, in a responsible manner. And that's why I came up with this vision, where I am thinking of putting efforts in media information literacy, because we need to educate our people how to consume. There is a lot of misinformation, disinformation out there, especially when it comes to online content. Everyone with a smartphone is like a journalist. I mean, we are living a world where each citizen can be a journalist, citizen journalism. So people need to be well educated to critically consume, but also produce information. I want also to do things like legal reforms, or to advocate for legal reforms. I mentioned the petition that I have before the Supreme Court. That's one of the strategies I'm looking at, how I can use those. And of course, public awareness. And of course, with this Humphrey Fellowship that I was honored to get, I hope the skills I'm getting here from the Cronkite, but also the law school, because I'm navigating between the two schools as a lawyer, will help me to achieve my vision, my goals. And to do so, I'm thinking of setting up a center in Rwanda, a Freedom of Information Center that will be driving all those strategies. And I hope I will achieve so. Thank you very much.
So this song's the title is Dynamite by BTS. And this is the first Korean song that ranked #1 in Billboard charts. So if you guys are interested, I recommend you listening the whole version of it. My name is Jae Kim, and I've been working as a journalist for 10 years in South Korea. So 14 years ago, when I was a freshman dreaming of becoming a journalist, journalism was a respected and admired profession. They were the defenders of the justice and equality, raising their voices for the marginalized and holding power to account. And that's the core reason why I decided to become a journalist. However, journalists now in Korea are called 기레기. Can you repeat this term for me? Yeah, that sounds nice before you know the meaning of it. So 기레기 is a combination of journalist and garbage. So once used as a derogatory term to describe reporters who write worthless and low quality articles, now it became a synonym of the profession itself. So how did Korean media lose public trust? Sensational articles, biased reporting, inaccurate information, and all those factors have led to the decline in public trust. So all those factors have led to the decline of the public trust. Sorry, I kind of forgot it. So I think that one answer lies in artificial intelligence. AI is a very powerful tool to bring innovation to the newsroom. Data analysis can empower and increase investigative reporting that can actually drive social changes, while AI can write simpler articles. And also its ability to check the misinformation and disinformation can enhance the accuracy of the article. But we have to remember the vital role of the human journalists. Deciding what stories are needed in our time for equality and justice will always remain the unique role of the human journalist. So this year, 2 of the 15 articles and the 2 of the 15 winners of the Pulitzer Prize for Journalism got a help from the artificial intelligence. It used AI to produce their stories. However, Korean media are in their initial stage of utilizing AI. And I want to strive to achieve my vision here. The era when Korean journalists leverage AI effectively and ethically, enabling newsrooms to achieve quality journalism that surpass global standards. By achieving my vision, I want to change the term 기레기 into 참 기자. Can you also repeat this term for me? Yeah, it sounds nice, and thank you very much. And it also has a wonderful meaning in it. 참 기자 means true journalists in Korean. And I will do my best to ensure that the day comes when Korean journalists are no longer called 기레기, but instead 참 기자. Thank you very much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to recognize my co-founder friend, Rhonda, and my mentor, Crystal. I appreciate you. My name is Goskona Tibiti. I'm from Zimbabwe, Southern Africa. I'm the founder and executive director of Community Podium, an online media platform that is focusing on giving a voice to the marginalized communities. There's a story, a memory that is stuck with me for the last 2 years. We did a documentary in Southern Zimbabwe, and I met this young girl who was 16 years. Her name is Aquilin. She shared with me that she walks 14 miles to and from school every day. I was like, what are you saying? 14 miles? I can't do that myself. In her words, she said, all I do when I get home is to rest and wake up the next morning and walk back to school. I didn't find that normal in any sense. But these are the kind of lived realities that we amplify through our work at Community Podium. And with my 10 years experience in journalism, one thing that I've observed is that at times, and oftenly, mainstream media ignores voices of the ordinary people and prioritizes, the elite or the experts probably. But this is the reason why I was inspired to start Community Podium, to kind of give a platform where these people, ordinary people, can share their lived experiences. How do we do this? We co-create our content with our targeted communities. And the objective for us there is to have active citizens and also to have community-driven storytelling. During the Humphrey Fellowship, which I'm so excited about, I'm at the Watercorn Kite and I'm also at Thunderbird. I'm developing a sustainable business plan for Community Podium that focuses on fostering partnerships with US-based organizations, optimizing resources, and I'm looking forward to learning more from this experience. So would you join me in amplifying marginalized communities' voices? Would you join me in making sure that the media serves all voices? The media should not choose voices. It should serve all voices. And I firmly believe that it must be so during my lifetime. I thank you.
Okay, first of all, I think we need a big round of applause for all of the fellows. Right. And I want to say thank you to all of our global friends who have come out here tonight to show their support and will continue to show their support to our fellows throughout the entire year. And then I also want to say thank you to all of the Humphrey mentors as well. It is so incredible to have you all give guidance, be friends to all of our fellows as well. And I want to say thank you to all of the family and all of the friends, whether you're via Zoom or here in person, for welcoming all the fellows and for all the important roles you play in their lives. I know that we're all very excited to be a part of the fellows' journey as they continue to make an impact in the world. So to wrap up, everyone please enjoy food, refreshments are all over there, and enjoy the amazing company. And thank you all for coming to our welcome ceremony.